workers, he's urging a federal judge to block UPS from moving ahead with the buyouts, alleging the buyouts violate the national contract.
Correspondent Bill Alexander. Cost of borrowing for a home has slipped again this week, falling to its lowest level in several years. Mortgage buyer Freddie Mac says benchmark 30-year fixed-rate mortgage rate fell to 6.01%. That's down from 6.09% last week. A year ago, the rate was averaging 6.85%. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Okay, 32.
It's time now for the latest news on this Friday morning. Headlines presented by Morton Hospital in Taunton. They're now part of Brown University Health. I'm Chris reporting for WVBF News. New England's largest utility is reporting seeing profits while its customers endure record high bills during the coldest winter in decades. WCVB Channel 5 News reports that Eversource posted earnings of $1.69 billion for 2025, more than double that earned in 2024. Eversource's 2024 profits were impacted by a substantial loss of over $500 million from selling its stakes in two offshore wind projects, Revolution Wind and South Fork Wind. In contrast, Eversource reported higher revenues in 2025, largely due to rising gas and electric
Higher
rates.
revenues, meanwhile, the people are paying more. It reminds me of WWE, what they're doing now. Higher revenues, but people are paying more for tickets.
Now, according to an online post by
Okay.
the town, because some trails will be partially or fully closed during construction, the public is asked to please follow signs and maps, stay out of closed areas, and keep a safe distance from the construction area. The project's set to get underway in March. In sports, last night in the NBA, Jaylen Brown scored 23 points with 15 rebounds, over a dozen assists. It was his third triple-double of the season as the Boston Celtics beat the Golden State Warriors, who were not playing with Steph Curry, by the way. The final 121-110 last night at the Chase Center in San Francisco. The Celtics continue their NBA Western road trip at the Lakers Sunday afternoon, 3:30 p.m. at Crypto.com Arena. In college hoops, Providence College, they'll be at the Wintrust Arena in Chicago. They'll take on DePaul this Saturday night, 8 p.m. on FS1. And the Boston Red Sox open their spring training schedule. Yeah, this afternoon, a traditional game against Northeastern University at JetBlue Park this afternoon, 1:05 p.m. That'll be on NESN. Now the forecast for the weekend from the National Weather Service. A slight chance of rain today. Cloudy, highs in the upper 30s. Tonight, more rain, cloudy, a low around 28. Saturday, a slight chance of rain, cloudy, lows in the upper 30s. Slight chance of rain Saturday night. And Sunday, a chance of rain, mostly cloudy, and highs in the upper 30s. Headlines presented by Morton Hospital in Taunton. They're now part of Brown University Health.
The future is bright at Morton Hospital, now proudly part of Brown University Health. This change welcomes a new chapter for our community.
I do not. I have it on my Word document here. I don't have a physical copy. I have it on my Word document.
Science that lights the way. Still
Looking
local,
right at it.
now limitless. Morton Hospital is now part of Brown University Health.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host
Okay,
and
I'm
do
gonna
not express
start
the
with
views
this
of WVBF ownership or
little bit.
Hometown Talk Radio.
Play the
Content
intro.
aired on all programs are those of the host and their guests.
Countdown to start. Anthony Tony Lopes, 79, of Taunton, Massachusetts, passed away unexpectedly on January 13th after a brief illness. Born on March 22nd, 1946 in Taunton, Tony was a proud, lifelong resident whose voice, spirit, and dedication enriched his community. Tony shared 56 years of marriage with his beloved wife, Nancy Lopes. He was the devoted father of Chris Lopes and his wife, Vicky of Taunton, Alyssa Potter, and her husband, John of Plainville. He was the proud grandfather of Thomas, Alba, Nathan, and Aria, and leaves behind many nieces, nephews, and cousins. He is predeceased by his brothers Alfred, Albert, James, and his sister Mary Eleanor. Above all else, Tony's greatest joy was his family. He delighted in spending time with his children and grandchildren, cheering them on at countless games and sharing in their accomplishments with pride and love. Tony was best known as the voice of Taunton Radio. Beginning in 1991, he hosted Hometown Talk Radio first as a co-owner of WPEP 1570 and later as general manager of 1530 WVBF in Taunton, Middleborough. His program gained national recognition, featuring interviews with movie stars, presidential candidates, governors, senators, and congressmen. His passion for broadcasting was matched by his love of history, which he often shared with listeners and community members alike. In 2008, Tony was honored as the Prince Henry Society Portuguese American Man of the Year, a recognition he accepted in memory of his parents, Mary and Antone Lopes, who immigrated from the Azores. Tony devoted decades to youth sports in Taunton. He served the Taunton Western Little League for 30 years as a coach, manager, and league president, leading the effort to build the Taunton Western Little League complex. He also founded and coached the Ware Tigers junior football team and served as coach and president of the Taunton Area Babe Ruth League. He was a high school, Little League, and softball empire for 25 years and served as director of youth activities at the CYO. His dedication earned him the Marion Medal for outstanding social work and leadership. In retirement, Tony embraced his love of travel, spending winters in Bradenton, Florida, where he enjoyed the warmth, friendships, and countless games of bridge at the clubhouse. He was happiest surrounded by friends and family, whether at the card table or cheering from the sidelines. Tony was the biggest fan of his grandchildren's sports teams, spending spring, summer, and fall evenings at baseball, softball, and soccer fields, proudly supporting them from the stands. A lifelong sports enthusiast, he was also an avid fan of the Boston Red Sox, New England Patriots, and Navy Athletics. Tony was a longtime member of the Elks Lodge 150, the Portuguese American Civic Club, the PACC, and the Prince Henry Society, where he built lasting friendships and contributed to the civic life of Taunton. Tony will be remembered for his booming radio voice, his tireless work to support young athletes, his devotion to family, and his pride in his heritage. His legacy lives on in the community he served, and most importantly, in the love he gave to his children and grandchildren. A memorial mass will be held at St. Jude the Apostle Parish in Taunton on March the 6th, 2026 at 10 a.m. There will be a luncheon to follow for family and friends at the Chateau in Norton.
He was born Anthony W. Lopes in March of 1946. A lifelong Tauntonian, he has always been simply known as Tony, and he loves to talk. He talks about anything, anytime, and almost anywhere. Now's a good time because it's time for Coffee with Tony, heard only on AM 1530 and FM 99.7. Just call 508-822-1106. Let's get started. Brew the coffee and start the conversation. Dial 508-822-1106 right now.
Okay, good. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0.
Good morning, WVBF listeners. This is Mark Pacheco here today to kick off what we hope will be a couple of great hours of talking to the gentleman you just got through listening to, Tony Lopes. Anthony Tony Lopes voice of the radio, tremendous community leader, a person that was involved with youth sports here in the, not just the city of Taunton, but regionally here in southeastern Massachusetts, just a tremendous individual. I had the opportunity when hearing about Tony passing to speak recently with his wife Nancy. And I asked her if it would be okay if we here at WVBF would be able to pay tribute to Tony and have some stories shared about his background and some of the work he did that people did not hear about because it wasn't on the radio, but the personal connections that took place where he had helped change the community to be a better community over the years. People like former Mayor Dick Johnson may be calling in later on today. We have local leaders who have reached out and have talked to me, and we may have a couple that actually show up here at the studio. And we're also reaching out to the community at large via our hometown radio at 508-822-1106. The phone lines will be open for your comments on Tony Lopes, your interactions with him individually or other activities that he was involved in that you may be aware of. We simply just wanted to take time today to pay tribute to this man that meant so much to so many people. And, you know, one of them is in the studio with me. Our board operator and host and person that's involved with Middleborough matters and is a sports fan himself and has been involved for a long, long time. Joey Driscoll, and I figured I just wanted to open it up with Joey, who's paid so much, had the opportunity to work so very closely with Tony over the years, to just share a little bit of your story, Joey, about your interaction with Tony when you first met him and how you got involved. And how he, I know when he was manager, he kept you on here and brought you in and gave you increasing responsibility, which I've been proud to continue because of the fine work that you've done for the station. But he saw that interest in you, that opportunity in you, and thought you might want to share some of that.
Yeah. So, my dad and I met him at Crazy Days. I think it was 2016. And we talked with him. We were able to, I believe he put us on the radio at that time to talk for a few minutes as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then just about a month after I graduated, which was in 2017. In July of 2017, he called my dad and asked if I would be interested in working the weekends here at WVBF, which I absolutely loved. I still love doing the weekends every weekend as well. So I started that in July, and I was doing that for a couple of years, learning under, at the time it was Ed Rand. Learning under Ed Rand, and then in September, taking over the weekends. And then in April of 2019, or actually it was March of 2019, Tony asked me if I wanted to start my own show, if I wanted to have my own show here on on the weekends on Sunday mornings, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. And that's how Middleborough Matters, Middleborough in Review got going as well. And I am grateful, 100% grateful for him giving me that opportunity. And it's been a fun show to do every Sunday. So just on him, thank him for that because it also taught me a lot about radio as well. And I think I've been very, very good as the time goes on here of learning about, how to conduct interviews and things like that. Those are things that he taught me. The commercials as well, cutting a commercial, that's something he taught me as well. So I'll be forever grateful for the things that he taught me.
Yeah, reaching out and seeing the humanity in all of us was one of the tremendous positive things that Tony brought with him with any interaction that he had. Again, we're here at WVBF. It's 508-822-1106 is the phone number. And I know that there are a lot of individuals that have been used to having Tony on Tuesdays. I last spoke with him actually when he was making his way down to Florida. I spoke with him at Green Airport when he was heading down there and trying to talk him into doing a call-in show from Florida. Asking him if he would call in periodically, and he said he had to spend some time working on Nancy to see if she would let him do it, because she was not necessarily thrilled with that idea in the past. So he said he'd give me a call in a couple of weeks, and I'll let you know what she has to say.
We have a phone call.
But here we are a couple of weeks later, and that's the thing out there for all of us. Remember, sometimes we don't have a couple of weeks. So if you get something to say to people, if you want to talk to people, if you want to share your best wishes to people and family, then you should do that. We have a phone call.
Yes, we have a phone call.
Okay.
Go ahead, caller.
Good morning. Greetings from Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Mr. Mayor, this is former Mayor Richard Johnson is joining us on the air. And we thank you very much for calling in, Dick.
Congratulations to you, Senator, for dedicating this time to the voice of talk radio, Tony Rose. He's a great guy, a great friend, a great supporter, and he truly helped keep history alive in the city of Taunton.
Oh, he did. And you must have, dozens of stories. I know he looked forward to the opportunities he had to bring you in as a guest on the show. He would tell me probably 20 times, I've got Dick coming in. I've got the mayor coming in. I've got the mayor coming in. And I would smile because, of course, you and I separately were talking about it. But he loved the opportunity to talk to you about the days when you served as mayor of Taunton, but also thinking back to what was going on out at Weston Little League over the years and what was taking place with youth sports and, you name it. He loved the idea of talking with you.
I did many shows with them, as you know, and many of them on different subjects, but it always ended up on sports. He loved playing sports. He gave 30 years of his life to Western Little League, and 25 years in umpiring. He's a great sportsman. I put him in a category of people who keep history alive in Taunton. And it starts with Dr. John McMurray, Dr. Phil Tanner, Charles Farley, Peter Mazzone, and now the voice of Taunton Radio, Tony Lopes. I think we've always remembered that, and I would get at least one call from him, no matter where I was, when Taunton played for it, because he always looked for sponsorships. And then I'd get a hold of Ted Alexo, and we would both be sponsors for that football game. But that Western Little League complex, Mike, that's one of the finest Little League complexes in Massachusetts. And Tony was at the head of that. I was the recreation director at that time, and actually the land was transferred to them during Rudy De Silva's administration. And a great thing that was done because those parents and women that made that place such a tribute to the youth of our community, and then I can't tell you how many nights at the Vets Club doing bingo support the financial aspects of it. It was a lot of fun. Just brings back many great memories.
Well, I thank you very much for calling in and sharing some of those. Any particular story? I know you've got a couple probably just around some of your campaigns, and Tony Lopes being involved with those as well. He had a funny personality as well when you get to know him, and he was always trying to make a difference for the community.
And he would always have me on at election time. I'd always do a show with him. And he never put me on the spot or who I would support or who I'd recommend, other than you, Mike. And it was always about, Jeff, what's the difference? What was it like then? What is it like today? What do you see has happened throughout the years that has changed our political system and the way we look at politics today? And that was always fun doing that with him. And he as much as he loved sports, he also loved politics and the involvement with what was happening.
Yeah, he was just. We had a lot of great conversations, he and I, about not only local, state, national, but also international. He was very interested in what was happening in Europe and other places in the world, because he knew and appreciated as you talked about, the history and the connection one place to another, and how it makes a difference right here at home.
And he had contacts. One of the things that happened personally with him and I, my son was interested in going to West. He was a gun kid and he loved the military. And Tony had a personal friend that was one of the assistant coaches at West Point. And I actually had a film taken of my son playing football, and got it to Tony, and Tony got it to the assistant coach at West Point. He ultimately didn't go there, but those are the type of contacts that Tony had. Imagine that, getting a film to a coach at West Point. I mean, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, that tells you a lot about relationships and the relationships that Tony Lopes built with so many people, both locally, statewide, nationally, and internationally. Just amazing. But we thank you very much
for
the
Prince Henry Society's Portuguese American Man of the Year award. I did not realize that until I was reviewed as obituary, and that was a great honor for him to his Portuguese heritage.
Yeah, he was very proud of his Portuguese heritage, and so proud of the work that one of his brothers had done for many years as well. When Al was, actually living in the Azores for a while, and really look forward to those discussions and the connections that took place in his heritage and in the obituary that the family put out. You can see at the end, they pay tribute, as Tony always did, to his mom and dad, and he was talking about his family all the time. And so proud of them as they are so proud of him. Before we move on, Mr. Mayor, any other comments you want to make about Tony today and from from Tennessee?
Mark, thank you for doing this for Tony, and my condolences to his family and to his friends. Taunton lost a great citizen. The voice of Taunton Radio, I think, is a great way to remember him. He was always a very close friend of mine, and that no matter where I was, we would stay in touch with him.
Yeah, and as you sign off, and we're going to take a quick commercial break, and just so you'll know, in studio right now, we have Christine Fagan, who has joined us, and Christine has been probably more than a 50-year neighbor to Tony and Nancy and the Lopes family. We also have Louis Laura in studio.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
And we also have Gregory DeMello in studio. 3 members of the school board. We got a couple members of the school board here. We can probably have a meeting, I guess. I don't know.
No, we don't have a quorum.
That's right. We don't have a
There's
quorum.
no quorum present.
It's okay. It's legal. But they all just wanted to say hi to you before you disappeared on us in terms of being able to hear him. But, yes.
Mayor, I know my husband told me one day, I cost you the most money.
I miss the Silver City.
Okay, my husband told me one day that you told him that I was the woman in the city that cost you the most money because we bought the golf course. Did he hear me?
Can you hear that?
It's that mic, the right.
I couldn't hear.
Oh. My husband told me that you once told him that I was the woman in his life that cost you the most money because I got you to buy the golf course, the Parker Golf Course. And I'll tell you, I'm so glad we have that. What a wonderful amenity that is with all the building. I was afraid that was going to go to condos, but legislatively it can't. So I'm very happy about that. But you get to watch the sunset every night over the golf course.
Yeah, I was his assistant at the time, as you remember, Christine, and I was having daily conversations with you.
Yeah.
Remember that, Dick?
You know, when you think about the fact that how many senior citizens, how many young high school kids have been able to play golf and have it affordable because of what Christine and neighbors and you and I and the council did getting that grant together and being able to purchase the course. I think that when I think back about things I was involved in, that was one of the things I'm the most proud of.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you again. Thank you very much. Or if Tony would say it in Portuguese, muito obrigado, for you to be calling in and saying hi to us today and remembering Anthony Tony Lopes. We're going to go to a commercial break, and we'll be back on the other side at WVBF 508-822-1106. When we come back, the phone lines will be open and we'll introduce our guests in studio. Okay.
Hey, restaurants, when it comes to great food and in-house operations, we have it down to a science. But when it comes to online marketing, ordering, and delivery, Devour Now has got you covered. Devour Now has 0%
pot.
no setup costs.
And
It's a delivery solution.
you know how my
even
whole
open
drive-through
door.
week,
Don't you
you know how my song goes, how fresh is your day?
That's Get Devour Now.
Well, we'll make another one for you.
Commission-free online marketing, ordering, and delivery.
Joe, I didn't get you coffee. I'll get you one after.
It's all right, I got soda.
People age 50
You
and
okay,
older
buddy?
in the U.S. have early age-related macular degeneration.
I'm both.
Because macular degeneration often has no early symptoms, many don't know they have it until irreversible vision loss has already occurred. When I first
Roblox
found out,
tomorrow, not today.
had macular degeneration.
Okay, you told me today, yeah.
Really scary. I mean,
Where'd
my
you get
eyes
your
were
hair
hurting.
cut?
What's most important for me to
Gosh, I missed
see
a couple of
my
hairs.
family, my loved
Hey.
ones, my pickleball game,
It's all
everything I
fine.
do is dependent upon my vision.
Being able to see, be able to spend time with my children, be able to travel is extremely important. And I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't have my vision.
For
Don't
years
miss
and years
life's
and
most
years.
beautiful moments.
Schedule a comprehensive eye exam to protect
Joe.
your sight.
Macular
For
Degeneration
years,
Research,
Christine,
a
for
Bright
years.
Focus Foundation program,
Good
offers
people.
free resources and tips for healthy vision.
Go to
He was funny though, Rick was funny.
stopamd.org to learn more.
When you got him in a situation of his funny moods, you can make you laugh. Good people. Yes, yes. Wow. Last name was Dole, wasn't it?
No.
Bill. No, but
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0.
Thank you very much, Joey Driscoll, for bringing us into this part of the program. And let me thank all the listeners for tuning in and listening to what we have to say today about Anthony Tony Lopes. One of our in-studio guests that actually has to go to work is with us today, and that's Gregory DeMello, member of the Taunton School Committee and member of the Taunton Municipal Lighting Plant Commission, and also a administrator over at Bridgewater State University, where I understand he's going to be heading in a few minutes. But wanted to give him an opportunity to say a few words, and maybe I can get him to begin the scenario about telling a little story about their ride to New York City with Tony Lopes. But anyway, Greg DeMello.
Good morning, Senator and Joey, and to my colleagues here in studio and the listeners at home. Good morning, happy Friday and happy weekend to follow. Hopefully, we won't get too much snow this weekend, but we'll see. But yeah, Tony was one of those characters that would just make you laugh. And of course, through the political arena, I'd come in studio many times to talk about different issues, not only in the school system, but at the TMLP, not only leading up to the election, but after the election, because that's always important, is when you're in to see, what's happening. And Tony was very, very well, good to do that, not only with me, but other elected officials. But I know that we almost have a quorum here because, Senator, you were a school committee member at one time, former. And of course, we have Mr. Louis Laura and Mrs. Christine Fagan. So we don't have an official quorum, but almost. But anyway, the story I'd like to share on air is one of those stories that could never be repeated, no matter how many times we wanted to repeat it. It was on a drive down to New York City. And in the vehicle, in a SUV vehicle that we actually had to rent because of the how many folks were in the vehicle, were myself, Louis Laura, I think, was riding shotgun, which that was a mistake. And then Tony Lopes was in the back, my good friend and Louis' brother-in-law, Russell Allen, and a friend that used to live in Taunton, David Ferreira. So we went down to New York City for a specific reason to honor and be part of a celebration that Senator Pacheco was getting one of the highest civilian awards from the country of Austria. So the Consul General, or I believe, invited not only Senator Pacheco to be there, of course, to receive the honor, but had an opportunity to invite some special friends. And we were able to venture down to New York City. But along the way, there were many conversations before we even got to 95 South. So between Taunton and Route 44 down to 95 South, I think we covered every topic under the sun. But as we left, we were thinking about lunch. And of course, Tony Lopes said, hey, why don't we try this place on just off Route 95? I forget if it was Bridgeport or New Haven, Frank Pepe's Pizza. And okay. That sounds like a good novel idea. And Mr. Louis Laura riding shotgun was in charge of directions. That will never happen again. But anyway, so as we're going down Route 95, we start seeing the billboards about Frank Pepe's Pizza. Now, there's more than one Frank Pepe's Pizza in the state of Connecticut, but we want to go to the original Frank Pepe's Pizza, which is still around. And as we got closer and closer to the original Frank Pepe's Pizza, the billboards would indicate next exit, next exit. So Mr. Laura was in charge of telling us when the next exit was, because we were so consumed in all these different conversations that we flew right by the exit. And sure enough, I got upset. Tony got upset. We all got upset at Louis because we missed the exit. Now we said, what do we do now? Do we wait another few miles to go to the next Frank Pepe's Pizza? Do we, circle back, take the next exit and go back and turn around and go to the original Frank Pepe's Pizza? Well, sure enough, we did what we wanted to do. We took the next possible exit, circled back 95 North, back to 95 South to the original Frank Pepe's Pizza. And when we got there, boy, was that a disappointment. They only had pizza pies and salads, and that was it. And if I recall, Lou, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, they only had certain types of pizza. It wasn't like you could get anything.
Very limited.
Very limited
supply.
And, it was one of those places that, it's a highlight of your trip, and you think it's going to be this real cool place, and it was nothing really fancy. So Tony and I, and of course all of the others, just laughed and says, you gotta be kidding me. We did all this, took all this extra effort, got off the exit, went north to come back south to get the Frank Pepe's Pizza, and man, what a disappointment. So every time I'd come on the show with Tony, he'd always remind me about the Frank Pepe's Pizza. And of course, we blamed Louis Laura for missing the exit. And that's always been one of the inside jokes with Tony. But something else that happened when we got to New York City, we had some time to kill before the actual ceremony. And we kind of Tony didn't want to walk too much, so we went to Central Park and all the sites that we could get to before the actual ceremony. But Tony says, hey, you guys go ahead. I'm going to sit here at this coffee shop, have a cup of coffee, and just wait for you guys to come back. So sure enough, we dropped him off at this coffee shop. It was actually a nice little coffee shop with some outdoor seating on, I think, Madison Avenue, I think it was. And went on our way, came back, picked up Tony. Tony had 1 or 2 cups of coffee. And he says, you know what, guys? You're not going to believe how many people in New York City have dogs. And I said, really? He says, yeah. He says, I must have counted 3,000 dogs while I was here having a cup of coffee in New York City. And I don't think he was exaggerating. He says, everybody has a dog in New York City. So it's stories like that come back, and we enjoy the laughs. And, Tony's Tony. I'd see him at Joe's Diner, of course, one of his sponsors, and we'd have a cup of coffee together. And I just wish that we could spend more time together. It's one of those things that, because we just didn't talk politics, we talked about everything under the sun. So, Senator, thank you for the invite to come in and just reminisce a little bit about Tony.
Just another thing I wanted to add on to make the story even more amusing. Not only did he count the dogs, but he also noticed how everyone had the poop and scoop, because there's a big law enforcement in New York City, which you have to, and he's counting. He said there wasn't one person that did not do that. Sure, because it was like a $500 fee. The second thing he did, which was amusing to me, was he counted how many different pairs of shoes people wore as they were walking by. And he counted them all. And he actually said to me, Lou, I took my time to count the different shoes that people wore, and it was amazing. I couldn't keep up the count. So his amusing character of people, his kindness, his humanity, his qualities were just amazing.
Well, I thank you guys for being here and in sharing that story, because I obviously was not in the car. I certainly was at the ceremony, but I've heard about that story from Tony more than I think any other story that he's ever told me. He'd always mention Frank Pepe's Pizza. It's so much so, and he's actually mentioned it on the show a number of times. So much so, I was thinking about calling them for that. I told him you should kill him. Knowing Tony, who is a great salesman, he probably would have sold an ad, to Frank Pepe's Pizza.
Yeah.
And every time he would see us, he'd say, "Hey, we gotta get down to Frank Pepe's,
Yeah.
down in Connecticut somewhere."
And he kept reminding me that it was your fault we missed the exit all the time. So
Wow. Well, my GPS wasn't working that day. Okay.
But he is a special friend, to these guys, but a special friend to so many out there that are in the listening audience. And one of the people that he not only was a special friend to, but also was the neighbor of for, I would say, over 50 years, right?
Almost 50.
Yeah.
Yeah, we bought the house on David Street.
And this is Christine Fagan
Yeah,
talking.
hi, how's everybody this morning? Everybody has a nice day. Yeah, Tony, when we moved in the house we bought, we were looking for a bigger house, and we lived on Tremont Street. And anybody that lives there, just down from St. Paul's Parish at the church, and it was just a busy road. And my husband, there was the Oakland Westville Community Center was in the back there, that land. And my husband met the guy that owned the house in the back. Well, it was Ross David. Ross David was he made crowns and everything. Now they do them all in the office, and they make porcelain ones. But back then they were gold crowns and things. And he made those upstairs in the house. But when he lived in Tony's house, he went behind it and built the house that I live in. So Tony bought the house. He left like an acre of land there, and then there's like 10 acres in the back that we were. And it used to be part of an old farm. So there was a pond back there that had been dug a little bit deeper. It's part of the 3 mile. It goes into the 3 Mile River. It's part of the Cobb Brook, to be exact. And we moved there, and that's when we became Tony's neighbors. So I was pregnant with my third son, Daniel. So Danny was born in 1977. So it was like in April of 1977 we moved there. And we just became great friends. I love talking to him. I like talking to him about all kinds of things. Very learned man. He had a master's degree in education. He also had a master's degree in history. In history.
History, yes.
And he really knew a lot of stuff, and he really made it a point to be knowledgeable. He wasn't one of these guys that ummed and ahed when he got on the radio. He actually knew what he was talking about. But I felt bad because the last time I saw him, he was having trouble with his legs. They were swelling up. He was getting water in them. And the last time I saw him, he wanted to let me know he was going to Florida, that his son would be home and his son's wife and all that stuff. And he said, "I just wanted you to know so that you're not worried that you don't see us, but we're going to go down to Florida." And I looked at him, and he really didn't look too well to me. And something inside me said, this might be the last time I see him. And when I said goodbye to him, it was with a heavy heart. And then I find out from Nancy, they had gone down there. It wasn't that issue that was the problem. He got the flu. And she told me he passed away. I don't know, my eyes, I just started crying. I was beside myself, and I, got to talk to her, and she had come home. Of course, every time you lose somebody like that, you have to do their ash, cremate them and all that stuff. So that had to be very difficult for that family. Because sometimes there's no closure when you don't see somebody laying there that you can look at one last time. Mm-hmm. But to this day, my son used to help him up in his yard, and he was just a great neighbor. And I loved his family, and I can remember too. It was funny when Nancy, of course, Chris was older than my oldest son, just by maybe a year or so, and then she had her daughter quite a few years later. So was close to my son Matthew's age. So there was a big split in the ages, but Tony was always out with his son baseball and doing all that stuff with Little League, because I spent 20-something years in Taunton West Little League, and he'd be out there with his son, and then all of a sudden his wife has the baby, and he comes out on the Little League field and goes, "Girls softball, here I come." And I think his daughter was the #1 graduate in her class. She was really, really bright young woman. She was friends with my kids too. Mm-hmm. So I'll always cherish that relationship. But I miss him. I miss just being able to call him and talk about different things. But you're right. He knew everything about everything, internationally, locally, in the country. He had a lot to offer, and I'm sure the people in the studio are going to miss him. And I know all of us that have had the pleasure to come on and let us talk before. And I know part of that is you too, but having to come on and be able to talk about your candidacy and stuff like that. And I always paid for some ads after that because it was important. But everybody on the committee was kind of heavy-hearted that had known Tony in that aspect too. And he was very kind to people when he asked questions. I don't think he was into that, I'm going to give you a gotcha moment. You know,
no. Yeah, I know. He was, as
class act.
As Dick Johnson said earlier before the break, that he really wanted to know what candidates thought about how they could make a difference for the community in the future. What things could be done to improve the quality of life for the citizens of the community. That's what Tony was always all about. He would get frustrated when people,
didn't have an answer.
wouldn't do it, or we're not doing the right things for the community.
Yep.
And he'd let everybody know, and everybody, there'd be no question about where Tony stood on those issues. All they had to do was tune into his show on Tuesdays, and they would hear it from him.
Yeah.
But but he was well intent always.
Yes, he was.
In terms of the best interests of our community. You were going to say, Christine, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's just everything about him was always very caring and things like that. And I know that everybody there felt really bad about losing him. And I didn't want to say too much because I didn't know how much was there, but she did come home, but they had to go back and get his ashes too. So that whole thing had to be tough.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be a community mass.
Yes.
At St. Jude the Apostle on March 6th at 10 a.m. So for all of those listening in the community, and unfortunately, some people are just finding out about it because obviously the family had gone through a very difficult time being out there. Tony and Nancy out in Florida, by themselves, and then Nancy loses Tony, and Nancy comes back home, and then they had to make arrangements and so on and so forth. So it took a little while for the family to get the information out to the community. And even though a lot of us here in the studio knew about it, we did not want to put out any public information before the family had a chance to do that.
Mark, I went up to see Nancy one day and I said, listen, I'd like to do something at the school committee meeting. And she had given me a rough draft of the thing. And I had actually announced it at the school committee because I thought it was important to do that. But we all felt the same way that, we needed to pay homage to him because he really did a lot for people. And he always wanted to help people, and he was good about calling people. They have people that they won't talk to certain people. That wasn't him. He brought everybody on. So I think that whole welcoming thing with him, and he respected the fact that people had the right to agree to disagree. And that's another thing I liked about Tony was that he could be like that, and he wasn't going to beat you up about it. So, but like I said, I'm going to forever miss him because it would be a time, I wish I could call Tony about this, but I feel that way. We've lost, it's my job to do those things on the school committee. And there's been so many people that we've lost the past year. It was one night I did 8 of them. And it's really is tough because there's been a lot lately. And he's a good one. He was a good one.
I was telling people this week that for me, there's 3 this week. For me, it's wanted to do this today for Tony. Tomorrow, a very, very close friend that I've had for years, Rick Roland Robillard. The family will be having services for him, and then on Monday there's a funeral service for a woman who's just turned 97 years old, Marianne Jacinto, in Portuguese Village, part of the city, who I've known since I was a little boy. And that's why I say to everyone that's listening to us today, and the tribute to Tony, you know, your family, your friends, that friend you haven't heard from in a while, pick up the phone and say hi, because you never know when you're going to see them again. And by the way, for everybody listening, 508-822-1106, the phone lines are open. And if you want to join in and tell us a story you have about Tony, or about listening to him, or you want to make a comment, please feel free to do so. We have some other individuals that will be calling in the 10 o'clock hour. I know I spoke with Bob Newhall yesterday. I spoke with Dominic Damiano and other colleagues of Tony that work with him here at WVBF over the years. And anybody that is in that category, or other officials, elected officials that are listening and want to give a call, to send your condolences to the family, please feel free to do so. We're going to take a short break right now, and we'll be back in a few minutes to talk a little bit more about Anthony Tony Lopes.
We have a phone call. Let's take
we have a phone call. Okay, before the break, we'll take the phone call.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mark. Mark, I just wanted to call and give my condolences to Nancy and the Lopes' family. And I got to be very good friends with Tony. I was doing some shows with him and first started out.
Is this Dominic?
My own show.
Yeah. This is, all right, yeah, Dominic Damiano.
No, this is Bob Newhall.
Oh, that's Bob Newhall. Okay, Bob. Bob Newhall. We talked last night, and I thank you very much for calling in.
Tony was such a good friend with me. He took me under his wing with his show, and then he said, "Why don't you start your own show?" And he said, "You seem like you're learning fast. You like it." And I said, "Well, I don't even know what to call it." He said, "Well, why don't we call it Sound Off?" I said, "Okay." And then after Bob Focus has gotten to his show, I did his show, Anything Goes. But I had 13 years of fun with Tony, and the whole people in the radio industry was so much fun to deal with. We had great times, and we had a great leader as far as I'm concerned with Tony in the studio with the manager, and we had just great personality, person who could work with us and like Joey said, bring us all on our ways and teach us,
Yeah, in your relationship in particular with some of the health challenges that you've been dealing with, Bob, all of us have, prayed for you and trying to wait for a day when you can come back on and do another show. But Tony would always tell me to reach out to you and different areas that you were working in, and he loved having those discussions, not only with you but also with Fulsick and others.
Yep.
And we thank you very much for your friendship for Tony, and I'm sure the family is going to very much appreciate the comments that have been made today, because Joey's working on trying to put together a little bit of the program between the 9 and 10 o'clock hour and the 10 and 11 o'clock hour, to put it together and capture it, to provide the family with a copy of some of the comments that have been made today, so the family can have that.
Yeah, it's the show here today is currently streaming live on YouTube. It is on Joey Driscoll Hometown Talk on YouTube at right now.
Yeah, so we're gonna put that together for the family, And so Nancy and the kids and everyone can have a copy of listening to the community talk about their husband and their dad and their grandfather, so that there will be a little bit of memory there for, in particular, the grandkids that he loves so much.
Yes,
Yes, he did.
Talking about. So Bob, we're going to go to the 10 o'clock break, as you well know. Excuse me. I have that cough and sneezing that's going around. So you're going to hear that once in a while, unfortunately. But we'll take a break. But please stick with us or come back to us on the other side. We'd love to hear more from you.
All righty. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Yeah. I can do half an hour show after this. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I got a lot to say.
We are AM.
No, you did very well. You did very well.
No, that was great.
You come from the heart, because of that personal experience.
Yeah. I just enjoyed it. I feel terrible.
But he's streaming it, and what he's going to do is going to edit it and so on. And then we're going to give a copy of the whole show to.
Actually, I'm going to move my camera angle.
Beautiful.
There we go. I'm moving my camera angle so that it gets everybody here. So, or most of the people here. There we go. I got it in.
Yeah, we don't want to get it so that you didn't get these guys giving each other.
No. I had it on me. Should I keep it on me?
No, that's all right.
Okay.
No, keep it on you.
I'm gonna edit it where it's also an MP3.
The mellow I'm giving him his IQ when I give him. I'm telling him his IQ.
Yeah. I'm also gonna edit it where it's just gonna be an MP3 version, like an audio version.
That's perfect.
Yeah. I'm gonna also have an MP3 version of it. I'm gonna try to convert it to an audio.
That's the audio, right?
Yeah. And that's like the copy we can give to them.
Yep.
Yeah. That'd be good. Okay. About 4 minutes.
Good. I've got a few more things to say.
Yeah, I want you to
start. I've got a lot to say. I have yet to start speaking. Okay. I have yet begun to fight.
You can say.
Oh, yeah, this is. You know what? You don't want to say anything about that.
Thank you for coming because I totally.
I love the way you sound because you came from the heart. I mean, that's impressive. We're just talking about like comedy with you. That's touching. We don't want to do anything yet about the program, right? No, not yet, right? This is strictly.
This is all about Tony.
Yeah, exactly.
You told Nancy you were doing this morning?
Hmm?
You told Nancy you were doing this morning?
I didn't tell her I was doing it this morning. I told her we were going to pay a tribute to him, and wanted to get her permission and so on and so
He was
forth.
on every day, right?
Huh?
Was he on every day or had he
Well,
slowed down?
He'd be on a lot of days, not Fridays usually, but we did it on Friday because we had the holiday week, and then everything got bumped back, and then I had some health, this damn cold that knocked me down. So, as I had planned on it, I was going to do it on Tuesday Tuesday with Tony. But
I called and said that I didn't have anything planned, like guests or anything planned for these 2 hours. These are my 2 hours. I host on Fridays, 9 to 11.
So Joey's got his show, so I said, Joey, we're going to take over your show, and we'll do a tribute to Tony, which is great. So,
you love it, Joe, huh?
Yes. Yeah, I love doing hometown talk. It's fun. Yeah. And the bar matters.
Louis is going to do a show. He's going to do a show on history and
origins, heritage, and who are we today?
So he'll
Does
be
anybody know anymore?
interviewing people from, probably have Jimmy probably would be one of the people too with Irish.
Love to,
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah, because Jimmy's Mr. Irish.
All the
Irish,
composition of who are we in Taunton, all the ethnic groups,
Italians,
you know,
Polish,
we do everybody.
Irish.
We have guest speakers.
Portuguese,
We
you know,
have,
all that stuff.
I'm gonna call Ireland. I'm gonna call Poland. I'm gonna call Greece on the ship, you know, the cruise we're just on. Call the Greek captain. Let him talk to us a little bit in Greek. We'll do all the.
My mother's from Belgium.
Oh,
My mother came from Belgium after the Second World War.
Hmm?
She was an interpreter for the British and the Americans.
oh.
I am Irish on my dad's side. My mom's side is Swedish.
Uh-huh.
And also French Canadian.
I'm French Canadian on my dad's side.
Elaine's listening. She goes, Mark sounds great on. All of you sound great. She heard you speak. She was very touched by what you said. Just saying. You keep up the good
Yeah,
work.
as soon as she called me, I got off the phone, I just started crying. I said, oh my God.
Mm.
Didn't have a good feeling about that. I don't know.
Mhm.
Because he had been told me he was on Eliquis now, and I don't know. So you don't need me then, right?
No, you're all set.
Okay.
We thank you for coming though.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
that's my pleasure.
And that'll be something that will go down in history with her, you know, with the family.
Matthew mentioned food
I'm gonna do a couple
pantry
commercials
helps
and then we're gonna
people
come back.
insecurities.
There's a couple of commercials that we need to.
Well, I got a few things that I had to take care of.
4,000 bags of groceries to those in need at the north door of the first
Okay.
Hi, Madam Secretary. She's good. She's good at what she does. She's so.
Before the two of them giving each other
unexpired, non-perishable food items.
Well, she knows how to read in the mellow.
No, nothing. You didn't capture any of that.
No. Joey.
It was on me that first hour.
Joey's professional. Joey's professional.
Yeah, I make sure stuff like that doesn't get to camera.
Bye, you Steve. Thank you. Bye. He's wonderful.
The second and fourth Saturdays of the month at 76 Church Green in Taunton.
Just a few things that I'll move on, you know.
Public affairs radio show that features interviews with experts discussing topics of real interest to you. InfoTrack strives to present impartial, balanced coverage.
Now, how much more time do we have before we come back on?
We have 45 seconds.
Oh.
Charlie Van Dyke.
Not gonna be able to make it.
InfoTrack Saturday
Where you
mornings at
going?
8:05 a.m. and Sundays at
Where
9
is
a.m.
it? See ya?
Here on WVBF AM 1530
We
and 90
bathroom or something?
Yeah.
Okay, I will play a spot. I'll play a couple things here. Let's play.
Play a couple of things. I'll come right back.
What is today?
Right
there. Yeah.
Today is what? The date you mean?
Tech mobility. Okay. I'm just trying to make sure I play something that's not time sensitive. Like on America Past and Present.
Yeah.
That would be time sensitive. Okay, there we go. Perfect.
Welcome to the Tech Mobility Minute.
Good. There you go.
Tech mobility. Not time.
Partner for unstoppable growth.
Okay.
Visit pincommunity.org to get started.
When you started the show, did you do much on the obituary?
Yeah, I read the obituary today. That's how I started my Sunday shift. I broke. When it comes to on the radio, I was the one who broke.
And you love what you do. When I told Mark the other day, I mean, you're perfect for this because your heart and soul is into this.
Yes.
And when I start my show, it's going to be about 4 hours a month.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to be an everyday thing.
What is it, like 2 weeks? Every 2 weeks, something like that. Okay.
2 hours every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm away most of the time.
Yeah.
But it'll be something that get people that you know involved. So we're talking about the composition of who's who in Taunton, Irish, Italian, Portuguese, French.
Yeah.
You know, all nationalities. Talk a little bit about Ireland, Portugal, Italy, geography, their history.
Yeah.
what I'm hoping to do is get people from the community to call in. Yeah, I was born in northern Italy and I came over at the age of so-and-so. You get people more interactive in the community, you know?
Yeah.
All ethnic groups involved.
Insight and investment connections.
So
Faster, grow stronger.
we might pick 2 hours one day and do Greece, one day do Ireland, 2 hours on Poland, you know. All of the composition of who's who here in our greater Taunton area.
Hospital in Johnson. You're now part of Brown University Health. I'm Chris Keach reporting for WVB.
That was a cough.
New England's largest utility
Excellent.
reporting surgery.
Next time I'm gonna know what you want, Joey. I'm gonna call you.
Record high bills during
So that say get me because I didn't know. So
One of the best coffees I've had in a while because it was free.
Let me know when you're starting your show, Louis, and
we'll
We'll get a promotion.
We'll promote it, you know.
yeah, and I'll promote it.
Yeah. I'm gonna write a narrative so you'll have exactly this.
And obviously ads and stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah.
Eversource reported higher revenues in 2025, largely due to rising gas and electric rates. The dam at Stony Brook Pond in the
What's amazing about Tony is he started in 1991, huh?
replaced this year to improve safety
Wow,
and
isn't that
long-term
amazing?
water management in the area. Now, according to an online post by the town, because some trails will be partially or fully closed during construction, the public is asked to
But he-
follow
he,
signs and maps, stay out of
He
closed
interviewed
areas,
people of all
keep a
levels,
safe
you know,
distance from the construction area.
elected
The project is set to
officials,
get underway
people
in
of
March. In
national
sports, last night in
recognition.
the
I used to go to
NBA,
Washington.
You know, he went to
They
Washington.
would have a radio,
rebounds over a dozen assists. It was his third triple-double
set of
of the
radio
season.
stations
As
from
Boston
throughout the
Celtics,
country.
beat
Yeah,
the Golden
sports,
Like a radio row.
Yeah.
Sports
Yeah.
stars, you know, Red Sox, Yankees, all those people that he knew.
I was there one time, interviewed there in DC when they were doing that. And then you'd have US senators walk in.
Yeah. He used to tell me about that. His most love was talking about history, which he and I have a lot in common. You know, about talking about history and about immigration issues, and he was excellent at those things. He knew his stuff quite well.
So when we come back from this commercial break, we do not have to take a commercial break until 10:45 a.m. Because this is like an extended commercial break.
Yeah, we don't have to, but we may.
We may, yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have to. It's not,
Yeah.
if you can go till 10:45, it's perfectly fine. Because we'll have 3 more commercials to play whenever we take that last one.
Before it was Bob
Newhall.
Newhall.
Yes.
Jesus,
How about Dominic? Dominic calls in?
Dominic has not called in. No.
And who else do we have in calling?
Oh, Bob may come
For
call back.
Cranberry Country Journal, still bringing you a slice of life with the people, places, and activities and events that make the Cranberry Country area
It goes back,
a
huh?
place to call home. Join
There's
me
something you can
every
tighten.
morning, 9 to 11, Cranberry Country Journal on WVBF.
You know who built these, Joey?
Yes.
Fred Flintstone. That's how old these things
Expressed
are.
on this program
Yeah.
are those of the
Oh,
host
and we're
and
gonna
do
go
not
right-
express the views
right
of
to-
WPBF ownership.
You got a caller?
Yeah, we have a caller on the line, so we'll
Content
go.
and on all programs are those of the host and their guests.
Yeah, whenever you're ready to tell me to leave, I'll leave.
No.
All right.
No, I'm comfortable, you know that.
Yellow mic?
This looks nice. You did a good job painting this.
Red mic.
Notice how the paint came out?
You still there, caller? Yeah. Okay. We are coming back from a commercial break in like 2 seconds. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome back to your hometown radio station. This is WVBF, 1530 on the AM dial and 99.7 FM. This is your host today, Mark Pacheco. I'm proud to be the owner of the station and am proud to have known Tony Lopes, Anthony Tony Lopes, most of my adult life. And we decided to have a recognition of Tony's life today on the program, on the show. And we've opened it up to the general public at 508-822-1106. Any memories of Tony that you want to share with us? We've had special guests in studio. Louis Laura, a member of the school board, is still with us. Christine Fagan was with us earlier, almost a 50-year neighbor of Tony Lopes and Nancy Lopes. And we had Greg DeMello with us. We had Bob Newhall call in, a host that worked with Tony here at the station. And we have the lines open, and we have somebody on the line. And so please, the caller, welcome.
Hello there.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, very good.
This is the Democratic Cowboy.
Yes.
Something happened to Tony Lopes?
Yes, Tony Lopes passed away.
Oh.
And that's why we're doing this
I'm sorry.
program.
I really. Oh.
Yep.
Oh my God. We had a difference of opinion, me and Tony Lopes, but that's okay. Rest in peace.
Oh yeah.
Family, I'm sorry. It's to his family
Democratic
and everybody.
Democratic Cowboy, and I know we know of you here at WVBF, and we thank you for calling in, and thank you for challenging Tony over the years, because he enjoyed that. He enjoyed a little give and take and an opportunity to agree and disagree with different callers and put in a different point of view. But yeah, he had passed away a few weeks ago, but there's going to be a community service on March 6th at St. Jude the Apostle Parish at 10 a.m. And so there's going to be a community service to celebrate his life, and anybody
I can't get out of the house. I got a back problem, my back and everything. I'm having problems right now with different situations. Oh.
But thank you very much for calling in. But that's what's going on with that's what we're doing today. Is we're specifically.
What happened to him? What did he have?
Well, he had a number of different issues that impacted him, but unfortunately, he got the flu and then pneumonia, and that's why it's so important for all of us to understand that if you can get that flu shot, make sure you get it to protect yourself. And he got the flu, and I think he had already had the flu shot, and then he ended up coming down with pneumonia, and of course he had some other issues, as we all do when we reach a certain age, and just was not able to survive it all, and we lost him. The family lost him.
I'm scared of this back operation. I'm petrified of it, but it's got to be done so I can walk down the street to Camp Bello again and film things.
Yeah,
it's got to be done.
Well,
I'm awful sorry to his family and everything here about Tony Lopes, and hey, rest in peace.
Well, thank you very much. And your reaction was exactly what I figured a lot of people would have as a reaction: is, oh my God, we lost Tony. We don't want to lose Tony. Tony's just a great guy, and so thank you very much for calling in. We want to go back to the phone lines. Anybody else that wants to call in, talk, and share a story about Tony? 508-822-1106. And Louis, what else?
Yes, indeed. And of course, you can't say enough of good things about our friend Tony, his passion for broadcasting, his love for the human, soul. His opinions were different at times than ours, but he would always debate respectfully. He would state his opinion and let it be. Again, he would not criticize you for your opinion, which may have been different, but at the same time, he would not hold back any remarks that came through his thinking process. Here's someone started broadcasting in 1991, someone who has met people of all levels of life, elected officials, celebrities. I mean, he was doing it one time in Washington, D.C., where he would interview people as they walked by in the corridor, whether he was United States Senators.
Yeah, they had a Radio Row.
Yeah, congressman, whatever it may be, but.
Yeah, Radio Row in D.C. at one of the major hotels. And what would happen is the D.C. crowd in general, be they Democrats, Republicans, unenrolled, liberals, conservatives, people from every walk of life that would come to Radio Row to be interviewed. And Tony would be there as a guest host, and all the hosts would, and that's how he got to know a number of the hosts from other radio stations and also in DC that would call into his program because he sat next to them at Radio Row and got to know them personally. And of course, they asked each other to do each other a favor to call into their programs and update them as to what was happening with a particular subject area in DC, something that was going on in the Congress at the time, or something that was happening in the US Senate, or what was being proposed by a political leader or a major news media set of outlets. And that's where Tony picked up those relationships. And because he took the time to actually, at sometimes, expense, great personal expense for himself to do that, because the radio station, whether it was WPEP or WVBF, they would do a little bit in terms of, salary, but, a lot of these other expenses that were associated with a trip like that, Tony took some of those expenses on himself to become a better broadcaster and develop those relationships.
But his style was one that he didn't fear the challenge of, no matter who it was, what party, what side you were on, it didn't matter. And of course, one other thing that I remember about Tony, because I'm a great lover and enthusiast in history, world history, national history, local history. Tony was there. Tony would be able to compete and discuss any topic, which he and I shared many conversations pertaining to that subject. Amazing knowledge, but he felt always good about himself when he could show you that he knew what he was talking about without reservation.
Yeah, and he did know what he was talking about when he was bringing up a particular subject matter to the forum, because he did his research ahead of time and called out and reached out to various guests that were out there as well. We were talking to Bob Newhall just before we went to the 10 o'clock break, and I just wanted to make sure Bob knew that, as he knows, because he's been sitting here many a time when he had to go to a break. But certainly, Bob, if you want to call back, no problem. We'd love to have your continued conversation with us. Bob was talking about, Tony offering him the opportunity to come in and do a show, and as well as Joey mentioning how he got started, and Tony reaching out and providing those opportunities. That's how a broader set of participants were involved because of what Tony had done. So again, if you're out there, please know that 508-822-1106. That's 508-822-1106. Please give us a call and let us know what you have to say about Anthony Tony Lopes. One of the things goes back many, many years. I had the great privilege over the years to work for Dick Johnson, who called in earlier, the former mayor of Taunton. And we asked any of the local leaders in the community if they're interested in calling and in providing any comments. This program will be part of some of the memories for Nancy and the children and grandchildren, because it's being streamed right now, but that'll be eventually placed in probably an MP3 audio that we'll be able to provide the family, Nancy and the family. I spoke to Nancy about me in WVBF actually putting this time aside to pay tribute to Tony Lopes. He just deserved it from a radio perspective, but also from a community perspective and a leadership perspective. He brought all of those qualities to the table. One of the most important is that of humanity. You know, he always was looking at the little guy, trying to stick up for the little guy, and he was amazing in that way.
We have a phone call.
We have a phone call, so call
Hi, Bob Noel calling back.
Hey, Bob. Very good.
Yeah,
Very
the
good.
thing I'd really like to share about Tony is, he took us under his wing. We enjoyed it both. 13 years of my life on the radio, I had so much fun, and I met so many nice people. And even to this day, people contact me and they ask me how I'm doing and check on me. And, you know, and one of the funny things was Tony said to me, "You ought to become a salesman." I said, "I don't know if I can do that." He said, "Yes, you can." He said, "I want you to try." He said, "Why don't you come with me in a couple of sales?" I said, "Okay." So I started going with him, and I started picking up some sales and people for sponsoring the show. And I think I had more fun doing that with Tony because he taught me something that I wasn't sure I could do. And we had Al Street Service. We had so many people that were sponsored on the radio that it was fun. It was fun for them, and we always, you know, it always helped them, beneficial for us and them. And I couldn't ask for a better friend, a better person to work with. It was so much fun.
Yeah, well, he, it's one of the things with any business, in particular with the radio business, that, it's one thing, the hosts can be great hosts, and you can have some fantastic programming, and it's all very, very nice. But if you don't have the revenue to support it, then you don't have a station that stays on the air, right? So, and Tony understood that, and he's one of the few people associated with WVBF that actually went out and made those sales, and really could go out and let the business community know that with radio, with a signal that goes beyond Brockton and Braintree and out towards Plain Ridge, and a lot of people in the region are not aware. They thought it's just local radio here in Taunton or in Middleborough, but the signal actually goes far beyond that. So if you're a local business owner, Tony had the ability to go and let them know how far the signal would go and their message would go, and then bring back the advertisements that really are the underpinnings of keeping WVBF live. So And we're going to have, just got a message from Barry Sanders that he had received my message that I sent him yesterday. And he's going to try to call in before the end of the 11 o'clock hour.
We do have a second caller on the line as well.
You have a second call on the line. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Again, I want to thank everybody for the prayers and everybody in the radio that's continued to call me back over the days and years and and keep me in their prayers. I really appreciate everyone and I appreciate everyone that's there today. So, thank you.
And we're going to get you back, Bob. We're going to get you back somehow. All right. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah.
And we have another caller on the line. Caller.
Go ahead, caller.
Well, we thought we had a caller on the line.
We'll call back.
But anyway, we are very, very interested in what you have to say. So please call in. And Barry Sanders just saw. He is trying to reach me on a text message. So I will.
We have another call.
Okay, good. So caller.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Oh, there he is. There's Barry Sanders. All right. Good morning. How are you?
Oh, I'm pretty well, thanks. Really grateful for you all to be doing this special tribute to Tony. He's, we'll say, a bit of a legend here in the city of Taunton, for sure.
Oh, he certainly is. And I thank you for being the type of person that you are and being interested in knowing what was happening with Tony when you hadn't noticed his presence out there in the community and had called me a few days ago. I talked to Nancy, his wife, and as I had told Barry when he called me personally, that I really didn't want to get ahead of the family or of Nancy and wanted to make sure the obituary was out there before we did anything. But thank you very much for your concern and your interest and your friendship to Tony Lopes. You guys had a unique opportunity to get to know each other and experience one another. And tell me about some of your interactions, Barry, with Tony Lopes over the years.
Well, I remember when, when the Silver City Meeting House was sort of birthed as an idea.
Yep.
And, Tony was super supportive, especially for someone who, I had no prior experience with radio. And, if it wasn't for Tony's mentorship, it probably would have been a very short-lived and disastrous experience. But he was terrific just in making sure that we had everything we needed and, had a successful run.
Yeah, he was, and he was interested in making sure, there was always new programming that was going on. And it's one thing to talk about new programming, and it's a very, very different thing to try to actually get it up on the air and keep it up on the air. And so,
I think everyone can agree if you know Tony at all, he never does anything halfway. So being at the radio station, I'm sure he wasn't, making tons of money still, gave 100% every time he was either planning programs, funding programs, or doing his own show. It was always 100% effort.
Yes, yeah, he was always following through, following up, doing the early calls, setting up guests, all of those things, which as you know from doing your own show, and it's a lot of work behind the scenes to put together a successful hour or a successful couple of hours when you're doing the say the 9 to 11 slots, and And when Tony did his Tuesday with Tony, he had usually had 3 hours of guests that he would have, and not only that, but he'd be out there talking with all of those sponsors you were talking about, in terms of actually helping to support the very show that he was producing. So just amazing, but also his real sincere caring about the community. I'm sure you saw that as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, any of these radio programs really are a labor of love. And if you're not really interested in the topic, and for Tony, the topic was City of Taunton, if you weren't really interested and cared a lot about it, it would show in a radio program. And you always knew that, Tony's heart was in it. He set a great example for the rest of us about the work that needs to go into making a successful radio program. And I was always in awe that he could do 3 hours. With Harold Doherty and I, we managed an hour. Every once in a while, we do a 2-hour show, and it just seemed like the difference between 1 hour and 2 hours was dramatic. The amount of planning and just keeping the energy up, and Tony handled that like a champ every single time.
Oh yeah, you could hear it in his voice, right? I mean, you just like he was unbelievable, and when there was a disagreement, you could hear his voice get a little louder, on the radio. He was just an amazing person to listen to and talk with, and we're going to miss him, and we're going to miss him here at WVBF, that's for sure. And I was so close this year, Barry, so close. When I think I told you this, but last time I spoke with him was at Green Airport. He was at Green Airport when he and Nancy were heading down to Florida, and that's where I caught him. And I told him, I said, listen, Tony, please think about doing, even if it's once every 2 weeks, giving us a report from Florida.
That would have been exciting.
Great show. Well, he had actually talked to Nancy about it a couple of times, did not seek the approval that, didn't receive the approval of moving on with that, a new program idea. But this year he was going to try. He said, give me a call back in a couple of weeks and I'll let you know what happened. I told Nancy that. She got a chuckle. But obviously a couple of weeks go by and there you go. And that's what I've been telling the listening audience, and you've experienced this in your life, and we all have. And I was saying earlier that, just this week, I'm doing this today, but tomorrow I spent some time with the family of Roland Rick Robillard, who we lost, as well. And then on Monday, go to a funeral for a woman that was 97 years old, Marian Jacinto, someone I knew as a kid growing up. And there are these people that we have in our lives, and sometimes friends that we have that we don't see for a long time, with the busy lives that we all have and social media, etc. And it's time to remind ourselves, and it is with Tony, that we need to, sometimes make that extra call and reach out to our loved ones, our friends, our family, and people that we care about, to just see how they're doing. And, that's, I think, very, very important for all of us.
Yeah, it is so true that, tomorrow is never promised to us. Especially, I think At our stage of life, we spend a bit more time at funerals and wakes than we did in our 20s and 30s. And it really brings home that idea that, boy, if you got something you need to say to somebody, today's the day, because there might not be a tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree. But I thank you. How about any particular overriding message you want to leave with the family? We're going to have this be, Joey's actually putting together, this is streaming today, and we're actually going to be putting together some of the comments and edit a nice MP3 to give to the family. So anything you want to leave in terms of comment from you to the family, to Nancy, to the community in general?
Yeah, just my very obviously heartfelt condolences on their loss. Not only a loss for our community, but a loss for the family, of course. And thank you so much for loaning Tony to us as often. As you know, Mark, all the time that you spend out in the community doing things, all the time that I spend out in the community, and all the time that Tony spends out in the community, that was time he did not spend with his family.
Right.
And we're so grateful that they were supportive of his efforts, whether it was refereeing, coaching, on the radio, all the stuff that Tony did in our community meant it was time he was not spending with his family. And we're just so grateful that they were supportive and allowed us to spend so much time with him.
Yes, I think that's a message that we certainly want the family to hear, and thank you for bringing that up to Nancy and to the kids, and also the grandchildren that Tony just loved to talk about. And I'm sure they will miss him tremendously. I know the family will, and the community will, because there will be people in the community guaranteed today. Somebody is thinking about, well, geez, I think we can call Tony Lopes about A, B, or C, and get his opinion on this. Did he hear anything about that? And they're going to find out that Tony is no longer around to receive that call, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But we can all have those memories that we should cherish.
Yeah, so true. And I find that still a year later, and I'm every once in a while thinking, oh, I should call Carol.
Yes.
And tell her about this. And it's just this part of your brain that just doesn't want to let it go. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of times for many of us where we'll be sitting there and sort of absentmindedly think, oh, I got to give Tony a call about this.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll remember that that's no longer possible.
Yes. Yeah. And that's why we as human beings, it's even that much more important that we appreciate what we have, as challenging sometimes as it can be for each of us, but also just to appreciate the personalities around us more than sometimes we may take for granted, and appreciate the friendships and the relationships that are out there. So thank you very much for calling in, Barry, and giving your perspective on things and your connection with Tony. I know he enjoyed very much the interactions that he had with you, and not only going back to when you and Carol were doing the show, but since then and even more recently. Thank you very much for your participation, and we look forward to getting you back on the radio whenever you care to give community updates as to where we are with our municipality these days.
Always happy to do that. And yeah, thanks for putting this together. And I'll let you go. I'm sure there's a few more folks who want to squeeze in before the end of your time. So I'll say goodbye and thanks again.
Thank you very much, Barry, our city councilor. Barry Sanders has just been with us and giving his comments about Tony Lopes. And we thank him for his leadership as chairman of the and president of, actually it's president of the Taunton Municipal Council.
We have another phone call.
We have another phone call. Caller,
Yes, sir. How are you?
how are you?
Good.
Tell me who this is.
Dominic.
Dominic
This is
Damiano. How are you? Now, what is the
Good.
other name that your name that you went by when you and Tony did those shows?
Oh, that was Giuseppe.
Oh, yes, Mr.
And
Giuseppe.
that was all off the cuff. That was
Yes,
something that Tony actually started
that was,
back in the old Broadway studios back in the day.
yes.
And,
Well,
and
this, for everybody listening,
it
this
was,
is,
he called in one day. I was just doing the show and just blabbering, trying to fill everybody in what was going on with high school sports that given Saturday. And he just called in and he just changed his voice, and I knew it was him because he couldn't change his tone.
yeah,
He was trying to act like he was truly Portuguese. He was doing a terrible job. And it was really, really funny. And then he called me later that day, and it sounded like the show was about to die, so I thought I'd help out. I said, you know it was me? I'm like, of course I knew it was you. I said, everybody that was listening to the show knew it was you. So we just kind of reversed it, and I just tried to add a little bit of color to it. And he'd call me the week before and say, hey, is Giuseppe free for an interview? We want to talk about the Alaskan fishing from Fairbanks, Alaska High School. And I said, yeah, sure, we'll think of something. He's like, so what are we going to talk about? I said, let's do what we normally do. Let's just wing it. So next, Giuseppe's in jail, and he's trying to get out of jail, and he's
yes,
in the boats running into the nuns' school, in the fishing tournament, and next, Giuseppe's walking out of prison and telling the judge that he's in contempt, and Giuseppe's trying to tell him.
yeah.
that
Well,
he's
this,
in a tent.
I was thinking, we were talking with Joey earlier that, with everything that's going on now with the Olympics this week, that you guys could have done a whole show on curling,
Yeah, we could have.
You could have done,
We could have made
that would have been a perfect
for
one
sure.
for the two of you talking
yeah.
about curling, But you just, your friendship, I know how sincere it was, and we've had the opportunity to talk about it, and we're simulcasting today's comments, and Nancy and
Awesome.
and the kids and everyone are going to get a call about having an MP3 recording for their memories of Tony in the reaction from the community. I'm not sure if you were aware, but we had Dick Johnson, former mayor, that called in earlier. We've had 3 members of the school board that have called in. We had of course, Christine being one of those, and Christine Fagan lived right next to Tony for almost 50 years.
They're neighbors.
And so they've known each other for a long, long time. And of course, you heard Bob Newhall earlier, and we thank you for calling in. Barry Sanders just got off the phone, and you came on. So thank you for calling in. So tell me what are your big memories of Tony that you're gonna miss so much?
Well, it's for me, it's going to be more of the broadcasting, because Tony taught me how to be a broadcaster. I mean, talked about what do you call it? Hard Knocks. I couldn't think of the word for a second. So Hard Knocks School. I mean, he would
he was a gentle giant. He would stay on me and make sure I got it right, and then in his own clever way, and he actually helped me start. I think I told you the other day, he actually, when Pop Warner was in, when it was Pop Warner Youth Football, we did the first broadcast on the old WPVP, and then when WVBF came to Taunton, we started that, and it worked into doing the high school games. And he talked about how, Tony may have been his age at the time, but he would run around like he was in his mid-30s, trying to get sales to make sure these kids got the right recognition, and that kind of motivated me to do 4 Deep Sports Talk.
Yeah.
But just learning the engineering side of that board that they have at the station, and the proper etiquette as far as being a broadcaster, knowing the kids' names, knowing the game, and Tony would stay on top of me on that, and make sure I got it right. And even if I messed up a little bit, oh, don't worry about it, Don. We're all set. People don't understand what they're saying. They don't know what we're saying, but I think we got it right. And he was a stickler to make sure you knew what direction the ball was going in, if it was football, or what the uniforms were, who were the key players to listen to, stats, stuff that you don't really hear. He was really good at it. He was one of the best, and I'm going to try to carry on that legacy of what I do with the high school and sports, and I can't thank him enough for everything he taught me.
Yeah, well, I know how appreciative you are, and I know how connected you were and what a friendship you guys had, even in spite of Giuseppe or whatever the name is that you guys use. But I really appreciate you calling in and saying some great things about Tony, because he deserves it. He deserves it.
He really does.
The good thing is one of the things with the relationship you've had and I've had and so many others with him is that in the right time and with the right set of circumstances, you can just close your eyes and have those memories, and that's that's so important for all of us to have. And he's created so many memories for people because of a lot of the shows that he had put together. And every time I heard you when you were doing some of the programming here on WVBF, and hopefully sometime in the future we'll be able to get you back doing that. It's great to see the recognition of the young people, in recognition and update in real time about what was happening with some of the youth sports. And what you spun off with your own programming on another station in the area. Just amazing work that you're doing. And to hear you talk about referencing Tony Lopes as somebody that helped you be able to birth that, is a special tribute, because it really makes a difference in not only your life and in anybody that's associated with the broadcasting, but in all of those kids' lives, and their families that are proud of their children or their grandchild, and they get to hear about what's going on. And a lot of that happened because Tony took the time to make sure it happened.
I caught a little bit of Barry Sanders talking about how Tony hustled.
Yes.
And it is so true. He would, you need sponsors, the way of the world, to get the programming on the radio. And Tony was, when it came to high school basketball, he brought in high school baseball, he brought in girls softball, and helped me with the youth football on WVBF. And he was a grinder. He was grinder from the word go. You would think he was 30, but he was, again, in his late 60s or whatever it was at the time. And he would go.
Yeah, he was a go-getter. He'd be on that phone. He'd be on that phone. Or he'd be at Joe's Diner working the diner, because he would see a lot of the people that would come in for sponsorships right there at the diner. And we have to think about that going forward, but he just was amazing.
He really was, and he made sure all those sponsors got proper recognition. And when it came to bonuses, I don't know how he figured it out, but he made sure all those sponsors got, those local area businesses got a proper recognition on WVBF. And it was amazing. It was amazing how he had it all textbook written out, or whatever. I don't know what the right cliche is, but he had it all written out.
Well, if you could read his writing,
incredible.
If you could read his writing, he was as bad as me in terms of trying to figure it out. I've got a few pages that he had written when people were putting in for their time and so on and so forth. And every once in a while there'll be something else stuck to it, and you'll see, oh, this person and that person and this person he's going to call, and I get it back to him. Say, Tony, you get it. Oh yeah, I was looking for that, and just always on the phone, and dealing with other folks, in giving me ideas as to what we could be doing for different types of programming. One of the things we talked a lot about is trying to get you back on the air here, and hopefully we'll continue to talk about that. But thank you very much.
Great idea.
Thank you very much for calling in.
You're welcome.
Anything else you want to leave the listeners as we wrap up this 11 o'clock hour pretty soon?
Yeah, I'd like to mention everyone who had a chance to interact with Tony Lopes. You were blessed when it came to radio, or if you learned something like all those interns that used to work for WVBF that he brought in from Taunton High School or the local colleges. I hope you never forget the experience, because it's something that you'll never get back. And again, I want to thank you guys for giving me the time. And Mark, we'll talk in the near future.
All right. Thank you very much, Dominic Damiano, and also all the other aliases that he uses when he's doing different shows. Thank you very much for calling in, but also thank you very much for being a friend to Tony Lopes.
Absolutely.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Mark.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let me just say that this special tribute show that we've been doing since 9 a.m. this morning for Anthony Tony Lopes has been something I wanted to do to give Tony the recognition that he so deserved, based upon all of the great community work that he did, not only as a broadcaster, not only as the voice of WVBF, but also as a human being that cared about other human beings and made a difference in their lives through some of the work he did, as you just heard Dominic talk about, with youth in our area, but also being involved with sports, being involved with politics, being involved with history. He would bring on Dr. Hanna, for example, and talk about educating the community about our history. He'd bring on Dick Johnson, who former mayor, that he had one of the closer relationships with over the years with municipal government. and talk about our history as a community and what we need to be doing from a municipality's perspective. He would also talk about our faith, whether no matter what background somebody had, what religion they belonged to, or if they belong to no religion at all, respect everyone he came in contact with, and he'd be great to be one of those people that have a debate about an issue. Well, that was Tony Lopes as well. Just amazing. So to Nancy, to Tony's children, to his grandchildren, our heartfelt condolences from the WVBF community here. We want to let you know how much we're going to miss Tony. If there's anything we can ever do to make life just a little bit easier for you and his family, please don't hesitate to give us a call here at the studio, to give me a call. We certainly want to try to be helpful if we can. And to the community at large, please, let's all today, as we conclude this program today, let's take a page out of Tony's book and think about how we can make life just a little bit easier for somebody else in the community, for somebody in our own life, what we can do to be as good a person as we can be, to be the best person we can be as we go forward, to make our community, our country, and our life even better. So thank you very much. And to you, my friend, Tony Lopes, thank you for everything that you have done to make this life so much more worthwhile for all of us. God bless you.
We are AM 1530, WVBF, Middleborough, Taunton, and W259BD, Middleborough Center.
So that was okay, right?
Absolutely, it was great.
No,
It was amazing. Yeah.
that was just a few phone calls, and that's put together, right?
Military leaders last week extended
Glad it
their
worked out.
deployment and ordered to shift to the region.
All right.
Thank you for doing what you're doing.
The
Yeah,
vessels were
absolutely.
approaching the Strait of Gibraltar
Depending upon how many calls, if we get a lot of calls,
possible within days.
I tell you,
These people,
let's go to 12.
others in this article, spoke on the conditions.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening to this program here
I didn't know it
on
was
YouTube. We will be posting this on YouTube as well. And yeah, thank you so much.
He said at the
Bye-bye.
inaugural meeting of his Board of Peace, you're going to be finding out over the